Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Danielle Watchford, and I am a ministry student with Phillips Theological Seminary in Oklahoma in their ministry training program. As part of a class that I am in, Introduction to the Bible, we are required to do a reflection or devotion weekly. I am doing mine live stream. I am also making this accessible to my friends and people who follow me online. If you are interested in following more of my online activity, feel free to subscribe to my channel, and you will be notified when new videos come up, which will be Sundays. I took an online retreat this past week with the Washington National Cathedral concerning spiritual practices for turbulent times. During our time together, we discussed Julian of Norwich. For those who are unfamiliar with Julian of Norwich, she was an Anchorite who lived, obviously, in the English city of Norwich. Julian saw the Black Death and the Peasants' Revolt, which, in some sense, mirrors what we are living through right now. In addition to being an Anchorite, Julian of Norwich was the first woman to write a book in the English language. Her manuscripts, preserved by Benedictine and Benedictine nuns. The Protestant Reformation delayed publication till 1670 of her visions and writings in a book titled Revelations of Divine Love. Going more in depth about her writings would be another video for another day. What did stand out during this discussion, during the retreat, was the term Anchorite. An Anchorite is an individual who has retired to a solitary place for a life of religious seclusion. This definition comes from dictionary.com. A part of being an Anchorite is that they were anchored to the church, unlike a hermit, which may not be. According to the website History Naked, Anchorites were sometimes priests, monks, or nuns, but this call was open to all who were not clergy or nuns. We are unsure if Julian of Norwich was a Benedictine nun, or if she became an Anchorite after her family died of the plague. What we do know of Julian of Norwich from her manuscripts is that she suffered an illness when she was 30 years old and saw 16 visions of Jesus Christ. Anchorites secluded themselves depending on 3 windows in their cell or confinements. They had a window where they could receive sacrament, a window onto the world where people came for counsel, and a window or a door for a servant who took care of their needs. If this is sounding familiar right now, it should be. I'm assuming most people who are watching me, unless you are considered an essential employee, or staying home, or ordered to stay in shelter, or are quarantined. So for me, and my interpretation of what I learned from my retreat, is that I am experiencing being an Anchorite. This is possible due to technology. Yet, you might be wondering, How does technology play into this? Julian of Norwich never had technology. How can technology be part of this? I have heard concerns from others that what if, when we get back to normal, we forget how to connect physically? I subscribe to Keith Anderson's view, which is presented in his book, Digital Cathedral, that the use of technology is not to replace the use of human interaction, but to enable us to stay connected when we are unable to be physically together. I have witnessed the extreme of not wanting anything to do with technology. I have witnessed the extreme of wanting everything to do with technology. And then there are people in the middle and in the spectrum of both. Working from the definition that Keith Anderson has laid down allows me to conclude that avoiding technology altogether is not beneficial. It goes to the unhealthy extreme of being a hermit, which dictionary.com also lumped with the term Anchorite. How does the use of technology open us to being an Anchorite? There is a window for their bishop or clergy member. For those of us who are not religious, who are watching this, fill in the blank about how you get fulfilled spiritually. For people who are involved in a congregation, most likely your congregation has adopted live streaming and or filming a service to be shown on Sundays. For congregations who have not done that, I recognize it may not be your cup of tea, and I also support that because the use of technology depends on the benefit of those who are involved. There is a window for counsel. Family visiting loved ones in nursing facilities, standing in front of a window talking to the loved ones by phone or by note. These are the windows for counsel. Then there is a window for a servant to come and help. Individuals ordering online for food and delivery, which has now accommodated to our needs at the moment by doing a drop without interacting with each other. Physical interaction, still, when being able to talk to someone who is loading your car at curbside pickup. Thank you, Anderson, for prompting us to seek those physical connections. Did we decide to be Anchorites by choice? No. Physicality will happen again because we will overcome this at some point. Know that this will pass at some point. The life we see after this will not be pre-COVID-19 life back. Yet, we are going to get some form of normalcy back. One of the memes I've seen online this week is a meme that states we are all really ready to get back to normalcy. But before we do, why don't we slow down and reflect on what we want to get back to? Do we need to get back to everything we were doing before? Time has slowed down, and that time requires us to connect back to not being busy. Let us recognize how that feels this week. And they say, oh God, thank you for being with us, for being present, for being present while we struggle with this new normal. And please be with us as we begin to recognize what our normal right now looks like. And as we connect to the universe and to each other through our windows. Amen.